Hello, Lucy and Conrad and Caleb. I am ready to finish the story about the Fantastic Four versus Mr. Gideon. Do you remember what his superpower is? He's rich and he can use the power of his wealth to divide up the Fantastic Four against each other. And so we've seen how uh, Sue Storm believes her brother is Doctor Doom's robot, and uh, the Thing thinks that Mr. Fantastic is a Skrull. And so they're fighting against each other. And at the end of our last episode, Mr. Fantastic picked up a weapon and shot off a pellet, and bam! Do you remember? This concussion grenade knocked everybody out, and so it appears as if Mr. Gideon may have defeated the Fantastic Four. Let's pick up the story right here. Back at Mr. Gideon's headquarters, Gideon and his aides witness the scene relayed to them by previously prepared portable TV mini cameras. And his assistant says, "We did it, sir. It worked. You beat them." Gideon says, "Silence, you brainless, bumbling incompetent." He doesn't speak very nicely to his assistants, does he? Gideon says, "They are merely stunned. They will rise to fight again. My victory must be complete, decisive. I must render them totally helpless." He says, "Set the stage for Plan 4. The matter shall be ended right within their own headquarters. I'll defeat them the hardest way. I'll show Van Vroot, Tamaroff, and Faversham that my money can achieve anything for me. I'll show them that no task is beyond my power. Now go!" Remember, these other three men he just mentioned, they're also financial wizards who are quite wealthy, but he plans to buy them out so that he can be the only financial wizard on the earth. He says, "And remember, no slip-ups. The Fantastic Four must be smashed by nightfall." But look who's listening. It's his son Thomas. Remember, the Fantastic Four are Thomas's favorite superheroes, and he thinks, "Father, trying to destroy the Fantastic Four. Oh no, it can't be. He mustn't. Not them." What's going to happen next? Well, Gideon keeps hollering. He says, "This plan has cost me millions, but the money means nothing. I can earn that much in a day. Once I've won, I'll take over the three remaining financial empires on Earth. I'll control the whole planet. The world will be mine. Do you hear? Mine, mine." Oh my, this fella is a crazy man, all right? And Thomas, his son, thinks, "No, nothing must happen to the Fantastic Four. They're too good. They've done too much for the world. No one must destroy them, not even my father." And then you can see Thomas runs away. He says, "But why do I call him that? He's my father in name only. He doesn't care for me or for mother. All he wants is power. He'll never have enough to satisfy him." And so Thomas runs away. Gideon says, "Thomas, I didn't know you were there. Wait, I want to talk to you. Wait, I said." And his mother calls out after him, "Tom." Gideon says, "Blast it, where is the boy going? How much did he overhear?" His wife says, "Gregory, what is it? What is happening? Why did Tom run away like that?" Gideon says, "I've no time for your eternal questions now. We'll discuss it later." So he brushes off his wife and moves on with his plan. She says, "But it's always later. Why have we become such strangers to each other? What happened to Gregory Gideon? the man I loved, the man I married. Gideon says, "Will you stop that incessant prattling? Can't you see I have a more pressing problem to attend to?" She says, "Gideon, is it our son? Have you placed him in any danger?" And so the human pawns in Destiny's chess game of life rush closer to the fateful ending of the game. Mr. Fantastic recovers first. He says, "It's lucky I was the first to recover from the explosion. I've got to rush Sue to headquarters. Whatever happens next, the odds will be in my favor there." And so he turns his elastic legs into wheels and he rolls off, carrying Sue with him. The thing says, "Come on, Junior, wake up. That blasted Skrull is running off with Sue." Johnny says, "Don't worry, we'll catch up with him. Anyway, he's in for a surprise. Sue is under the Puppet Master's control now." So they both are mistaken about their partners. Sue says, "Reed, tell me, why are Johnny and Ben fighting us? What have we done?" Reed answers, "Nothing, darling. There's more to this than meets the eye. Some master planner has spent a fortune to convince them that I'm a Skrull, and you are taking orders from the Puppet Master." So he keeps rolling down the street. Johnny stands up and says, "Okay, Ben, move back while I flame on." And oh, that explosion weakened me more than I thought. I can hardly even stand. Thing says, "This is a heck of a time for you to bug out. At the speed they're going, I sure as blazes can't catch them." Then he says, "Come on, kid. What's the big deal? A freshman Cub Scout could start a fire faster with a couple of twigs." Poor Johnny, after being concussed, he can hardly function. And he says, "I'm trying, Ben, honest. I don't want to fail you, but everything's spinning around, getting dizzy." Oh, and then he just collapses. Ben says, "Hey, Torchy, oh, for gosh sake, I ought to have my fat head examined for making the kid strain himself that way. I didn't know you were so bushed, little partner. Don't worry, old Benjamin will carry the ball from now on. You just take it easy, pal." But none of the valiant quartet have reason to suspect that Gideon's most dangerous trap is waiting for them right at their own headquarters. And so there's Gideon's team inside the Baxter building. How did they get inside? One of them says, "That does it, Bernie. Now lay the camouflage carpet over it." Agent R calling Mr. G. "Plan is 2 minutes away from fruition. We're giving it one final check. Over and out." And then the scientist says, "Everything is in perfect working order. It should be. This electronic time displacer, modeled after the one which Dr. Doom was reported to have invented, cost Mr. Gideon over $30 million. Do y'all remember Dr. Doom's time travel machine? Okay, that's what's happening here." And the scientist says, "It's Gideon's way of defeating the FF without actually injuring them. Once they set foot on the electronically wired flooring, they'll be instantly transported to some other time in the past where they'll be trapped forever." The other fellow says, "Only a man with Gideon's unlimited resources could have carried out such an elaborate, incalculably expensive plan. The FF haven't a chance." And look, the workers are laying down camouflage flooring so the Fantastic Four won't know what awaits them. Meanwhile, back at the multi-million-dollar estate of Gregory Hungerford Gideon, he hears the phone ringing. He says, "Once I give the final orders over the phone, nothing will be able to save the Fantastic Four." His wife says, "Gregory, I know you don't want me to interfere, but what about our son? Where has he run to? Where is he?" And of course, the mother is concerned about her son, but the father is only concerned about his plan. He says, I'll worry about that after this little bit of business is complete. After all, it won't be difficult for a man who controls all the wealth of the earth to find one teenage boy. His wife says, all the wealth of the earth? You mean with all the money you have, you still want more? Why, Gideon? Why? And he says, because it is the only victory I haven't yet won. It is the supreme achievement any human can attain, and I must be the one to attain it. And Mrs. Gideon says, then all the newspapers, the reporters, even the people in the street, they're right. You are drunk with power. He says, bah, does the most powerful man in the world care what the common people say? I can buy and sell any of them. I can control their destinies. Don't you see? My wealth can accomplish anything. Anything. And even as the fanatical billionaire speaks, one of his luxurious Rolls Royces speeds towards the FF headquarters. Thomas says, that's the Baxter building, just ahead. Hurry, Judson, hurry. The chauffeur says, yes, Master Thomas. Then as the frantic boy runs from the car, he hollers, Mr. Richards, wait. Don't go in there, you mustn't. Mr. Fantastic says, get back, son. There may be danger here. Thomas thinks, he doesn't believe me. How can I convince him? Finally, Johnny is able to flame on, and so he's flaming onto the scene. Sue realizes that, and she says, hurry, Reed, here come Ben and Johnny. The torch says, look like my flame came back just in time, Ben. There they are now. Thomas says, the thing, maybe you'll believe me. You've got to stop them. The thing says, that's just what we're trying to do, kid. Torch realizes my flame hasn't reached full power yet. He's still able to dodge me. Look how Mr. Fantastic is moving his body back and forth, dodging the torch. He says, just a little further and we'll be safe, as he climbs up the side of the building. Well, the thing is climbing up the side of the building too, using his strong hands and feet to drill holes into the wall. And Thomas says, no, no, don't you go up there too. It's a trap. They mustn't catch you all. Thing says, look, kid, write me a letter, huh? I got things to do now. Thomas says, why won't you listen? Why won't anyone believe? This fellow says, say, slow down, Sonny. You'll fall and hurt yourself. Kids always rushing nowhere. But Thomas thinks maybe I can head them off by taking the elevator. Dad owns the building. They'll let me up if they recognize me. That must be how Mr. Gideon got his workers into the Baxter building headquarters, because he owns the building. Upstairs, the fella looking at a control panel says, someone's coming. Get ready. The scientist says, I've been ready for hours. All I need to do is throw this switch and There's the signal. Someone's on the electronic flooring now. The scientist doesn't even see, but he says, whichever one of them it is, he'll never be seen again. Here goes. He throws the switch. But as soon as young Thomas Gideon steps out of the elevator, he is the one who steps on the time pad, and he is the one who's traveling back in time. He asks, what's happening to me? Help! And look, he's fading from view. But before the boy can completely fade away, a mighty figure crashes through the outer wall and grabs him. Did I hear someone yell, help? And so here's the thing crashing to the wall, grabbing the person in need. He says, did I hear someone yell, help? Hang on, sonny boy, that's my middle name. But Thomas says, oh no, I shouldn't have yelled. You shouldn't have tried to help me. Now you'll be sent into the past also. And the thing asks, huh? Hey, what in blue blazes is going on here? Look, they're both fading from view. However, just as the two startled victims fade from sight, two powerful, pliable arms lash out in the control room. He says, I don't know what they're up to, but it can't be anything good. Take your hands off that machine. And look, he grabs the scientist, he grabs a gun, and the other fella has a gun. He says, it's Mr. Fantastic, but if he's here, then who? And he says, we better not take any chances. If Gideon's trap fails, he'll see to it that we never get a job anywhere again. So, bang, he shoots. But Sue realizes there's just time to throw my invisible force field between Reed and that gun. And so, look, Sue saves Reed with her invisible force field. Reed thinks it's some sort of time displacer. I've got to shut it off. But what does it mean? And how did they get in here past my alarm devices? Well, here comes the torch, and he uses his flame to melt that gun so it can't be used again. He says, hold it, neighbor. You're not shooting that guy till I get him to tell where the real Reed Richards is. And the fella's confused. The real Reed Richards. And so now the torch starts throwing flame balls. He says, now take off, all of you. The FF headquarters isn't a sightseeing gallery. I said, move. And he thinks, boy, it's great to have my flame back at full strength again. I feel as though I can do anything. But as the stampeding hirelings race into the elevator, here comes Mr. Gideon. He says, out of my way, you cringing, craven cowards. I'll settle with you later. You've taken my son from me. I saw it all on the TV transceiver. My son is gone. And so Mr. Gregory turns to Reed Richards and he says, Richards, I'm Gregory Gideon. I'll pay you anything to get my son back. There must be a way. You must find a way. Reed Richards looks at him and says, Gideon, you, the cold-hearted billionaire financier, you must be the one behind all this. Only you could afford it. And so now Gideon, after having tried to destroy the Fantastic Four, now he turns to Reed Richards for help. And he says, I must have been mad. I realize now that the prize doesn't matter. Nothing matters if I've lost my boy. Reed Richards says, you tried to trap us in that time machine, but your son stumbled into it instead. Now I see how your men got in here. You control the electric company. Only you could have ordered the current turned off long enough to bypass my alarms. Then suddenly, unexpectedly, look, it's the Thing. He says, he shows up, and there's Thomas too. Thing says, you can stop blubbering now, moneybags. On account of Reed turning off the power when he did, we were tossed back to the present by the machine's accidental recoil. Gideon says, Tommy, my boy, you're safe. Mrs. Gideon says, yes, Gregory, he's safe, no thanks to you. Torch said, your wife told us the whole story, Gideon. That was a mighty unfriendly little trap you set for us, mister. And then after all has been explained, Gideon goes down on a knee to embrace his son. He says, I was too blind to see that I already had the whole world. I had my son, my wife, the only two things that really matter, but my vanity, my stupid greed made me want more and more until now I've lost everything. Thing says, oh, cut it out, Curly, or there won't be a dry eye left in the joint. Yes, I guess we're all kind of tearful at this family reunion. Mrs. Gideon says, my husband has done wrong and must be punished, but I am still his wife. Whatever happens, I shall not desert him. I shall always be Mrs. Gregory Gideon. Sue says, you poor dear. Reed says, luckily no one has been injured except for your husband. Thing says, yeah, and a guy with his dough can repair and damage can repair any damage he might have did by making a few $1,000,000 out of his petty cash drawer. All right. But he says, no, I'll do far more than that. From this moment on, I renounce my fortune. I abdicate my financial empire. All my worldwide holdings, all my incalculable wealth shall be given to charity. Money means nothing to me anymore. Thank heaven for opening my eyes before it was too late. And so look, Mr. Gideon's blue eyes are now open, and Thomas has blue eyes too. So he passed along his eyes to his son. All right. Well, Gideon continues, I still possess my greatest treasures here in my arms, and I'll devote the rest of my life to making amends for the way I've neglected them. And so the thing looks at Gideon and says, I wonder how that cornball would look in a beetle wig. Sue says, you have a wonderful wife, Mr. Gideon, and a brave, honorable son. You should be tremendously proud of them both. And then Mr. Gideon walks away with his wife and son. He says, I have nothing more to say. You may tell the police I shall be waiting for them at home with my family. Whoops. And so the thing is frustrated. He said, of all the dad-blasted, ding-busted, crummy luck, we finally nail a big bad villain dead to rights, and I ain't got the heart to clobber him. And so he kicks this machine and he says, ow, my toe, whoop. And a short time later, there he is, all up in bed with his toe bandaged. Reed says, see you later, Benji boy. We're going out to celebrate the fact that everything's back to normal again. Johnny says, too bad you can't join us, old friend. He says, okay, but remember, if you tell anyone that I couldn't go with you because I sprained my little pinky toe, I'll mob up the place with you. All right, so there you have it. Our first story in A Dog's Age without a costumed supervillain. Did you think about that? The villain was all dressed up in a coat and tie. All right, so the editors say, be sure to tell us what you thought of Gideon and be with us next-ish when a personal problem threatens. But you'll see for yourself. So till then, flame off and keep smiling. All right, y'all. Let's see what's next. Well, first here's a Marvel Masterwork pinup. Just a picture of Yancey Street with a sign on the fence saying Fantastic Four, go home. Ben says, this is very embarrassing. All right, so now let's look and see. Wow, have we got a treat for you? It says Calamity on Campus. Nuff said. What's going on? Who's this powerful character? It's Dragon Man. We'll read about him next issue. What do you think? Looks pretty exciting, doesn't it? All right, until then, bye-bye for now. Love to all of you.